Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of our program. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we have with us Joan Sotkin with Prosperity Place. Welcome to the program, Joan.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Hey, so give us a little bit about your background, and I love the phrase prosperity and place, because prosperity is a nice action power word, and place gives us a destination to be. So let's talk about what brought you to that place.
Well, I struggled for many years to get my financial act together, and it took me a long time. And actually, in the 1980s, I had a very successful business. After struggling financially for a long time and going to Debtors Anonymous and just doing everything I could, I finally built a really successful business. It was Joans Crystals and Stones. I was selling crystals and minerals for healing and meditation nationwide. I was the first person to do that. I had a line of stones in 600 stores, and I was making a lot of money. In today's money, it was about $50,000 a month, and I wound up going bankrupt because I had no idea how to manage cash flow. It was the 1980s. There was no internet. There were no coaches. When I went to the bank to tell them I had reached my level of incompetence, they kind of laughed, and they thought it was cute that this woman was making all this money selling crystals, and they just wanted to lend me more money. And I said, that's not my story. And so it was pretty debilitating to me when I lost that, and really had to, look inside and see what was going on. And that was really what got me to the point today where I'm, teaching people how to manage their money and understanding why they do what they do with their money, which is the emotional piece that's behind our financial behaviors.
Yeah, so that's a really great lead in, because it targets a problem. And I think that, like you were mentioning, back in the 80s, that's when you ran into yours. But you know what? Someone about 20 years or 30 years from now will be talking about their story that happened in 2016, because I had a great business and I had problems. So I think that that's a cycle, and that's an age-old problem, and it really is something that no one is going to ever fix and eradicate from society. So do you take more of an approach of money and finances and money management and budgeting, or the how to handle it through your business? Because when you have business money that comes in, you need to make sure the cash flow does this and does that, or is it a combination of the two?
Well, it's actually a combination of the three, because the third piece being who the business owner is and how they think, what they believe, and how they feel. I mean, so many business coaches and people who are teaching business skills forget to deal with the business owner, and that's what determines the success of the business. My lack of financial management skills was only part of the picture. My father had just died, so I was dealing with this incredible amount of grief and loss that I was unable to express, and so I expressed it through my business. And I really believe that if you don't deal with the emotions that people develop in early childhood and bring with them to their business, if you don't deal with that, you're going to have problems with the business.
And I think that's a very powerful point, because so many times, let's use the example of overeating or dieting. You hear that phrase about, you eat with your emotions, or you buried your emotions in your food. And I think the same thing can manifest out through the money, like you're mentioning, where the business owner has a good day, so they spend a lot of money. They have a bad day, so they spend a lot of money. So what triggers each action, from your experience, what would trigger that? Because you would think that, they're depressed and they're having a bad week or month, so they spend a bunch of money to self-soothe. Or the other hand, they're having they feel wonderful, so they're carefree and, thinking everything's going wonderfully, so they're going to spend a bunch of money. So where's that balance?
Well, it goes a little deeper than that. First of all, it's never about the money. Mm-hmm. In other words, money is a very neutral thing. It's just numbers. And when we bring our emotions to our money, that's when we get in trouble. So let me give you an example. When you look at your bank balance, very few people look at their bank balance and they go, wow, yeah, look at that. That's fabulous. They tend to look at their bank balance and say, gee, I should be making more. I'm so afraid something's going to bounce. There's a whole lot of emotion when they look at that number. Well, it has nothing to do with the numbers. If a person is feeling ashamed of their bank balance, that shame is a feeling they have brought with them. What I had to look at, not only had I gone bankrupt, I had 2 millionaire brothers and I couldn't rub 2 pennies together. And I said, why? Why is it that they were able to do what they did? I'm just as smart as they are. Why am I where I am, always getting rescued and having financial problems? And what I came to understand, I did a lot of meditating over a long period of time. And what I came to understand is that we have beliefs that lead to thoughts, that lead to emotions, and those emotions are like the bridge between our internal and external world, and it's our emotions that inform our decisions. Now, in neuroscience, they're talking about how there is emotion behind every decision. Well, if you don't understand the emotions behind your decisions, then you're missing the point. And if you're just looking at the money and you say, why am I spending today? And you don't realize that you're overspending because either you're doing what I call self-directed passive-aggressive behavior, or you're just feeling so inadequate that you have to do something like buying a designer handbag, or you feel so disconnected that you have to go out there and connect to a salesperson. And if you don't understand that need for connection, the need for touch, I really believe that behind both under-earning and what I call over-earning, people who never have enough and they just keep making more and more and more and more. And that's satisfying a sense of touch deprivation which develops in early childhood.
So at what point do you teach people to evaluate that? Meaning, I just bought a pack of gum. Should I evaluate how I was feeling when I bought that gum? So do you tell someone, a business owner, to track every expense in the business and personal for 30 days, and let's take out these certain small ones, or let's look at these certain ones, and then let's evaluate those?
Well, first of all, when people come to me for coaching, for example, they know something's wrong. They've been on a personal growth and development path. They've tried to change things. They've looked at everything they can possibly look at, and they still feel stuck. They say, why can't I reach my income potential? I know something's blocking me. What is blocking me? So that's where we start. In other words, they know, they already have some emotional awareness. They just don't know how to get to that deeper level. And if they've listened to my podcast, or I've been online for 21 years. If people have any familiarity with what I've been talking about, they come to me because they know that I'm dealing with money from an unusual point of view, and they know that I've been through it myself. It's not like I just read something in a book. With money, financial skills, you can pretty much learn all the basics. It's all out there. But this emotional piece and how it connects to money is not out there. I'm kind of a pioneer in this particular area. So when people come to me, we do both at the same time. In other words, I have a questionnaire I send them to find out what their relationship is with money and what their relationship is with themselves. And I don't think you can separate the two.
Yeah, I think it makes total sense, and it's almost like we've probably used in your practice so many times the bucket. Let's pour more and more water in the bucket, like money. But the problem is, if you have too many holes in there, then it's just going right on out, and you're not getting that satisfaction of what the money should bring, like security of paying off your bills or paying off debts or taking care of your family. You just want the power and prestige of what that money can do for you.
And that has to do with your self-concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's It's never about the money. When people say, I need more money, which is a very common phrase, if only I had more money, such and such. Well, if you're craving money, what you're really craving is more people, because money comes from people. It doesn't just fly in the window. And that feeling of longing, and if you can, kind of get where I'm going with this, where that feeling of longing for more is exactly the same feeling as the longing for touch and love. Mm-hmm. And that's at the core of most financial problems.
Yeah, you said that people will come to you feeling like they're stuck or things like that. Well, people don't know what they don't know. So how is someone supposed to, they're kind of, they feel off or off kilter or something, or the business isn't growing as fast as they wish that it would, and maybe they're missing a bill here or there. What should be a trigger for someone to say, man, maybe I'm, need to get some clarification on things like that, or else they're just thinking cycles of business. I need to, work harder, work smarter, things like that.
Well, as I said, most people who come to me have heard my podcast. I've been doing the podcast now since 2013, so they know what my point of view is and how I approach things. But most people know they have money issues. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to talk about it. We don't talk about these things in our society. We don't have a very good emotional vocabulary. We aren't taught how to go inside and allow ourselves to feel the pain rather than expressing it. Because once you express it, it goes away. But we've been taught that there are negative emotions. I never use the term negative emotions. They're just emotions. They may be uncomfortable, but they're not bad. They're all valid, and so people who are attracted to my material they instinctively know there's something from their background that is getting in their way, but they're not able to identify and verbalize it. And when I ask people these simple questions, I can usually see, and in my book, Build Your Money Muscles, I talk about the 5 main feelings that people act out through their money, which are aloneness, which is a really big one, shame, deprivation, anger, and a sense of being trapped. And I can usually tell from what people are saying to me or what they fill out on this questionnaire which of those 5 are the main ones, and I can start from there. So if a person has a lot of debt and they tend to overspend and they feel like they never have enough, I know they feel alone. And so I want to find out where that came from.
So
it's just so obvious to me. And so I just help people see what I see.
Yeah. So one of the terms you just mentioned, the one that I didn't hear, but maybe it fits into one, is security. So security is
not a problem. Security, money does not create security. I know people with tens of millions of dollars who are just as insecure as anyone else. Mm-hmm. People have this fantasy that if they have enough money, they won't be scared anymore. Well, then they start watching the stock market go up and down and in and out, and the housing bubble. Money doesn't give you security. Safety and security are something that comes from inside of you, and your faith in yourself, your trust in yourself. It's never about money.
Yeah, it's the people that make the tens of millions, and the old Rockefeller statement. How much more will it take for you to feel successful? And he says just a little bit more. So there's never enough, and there's always that next new thing and that latest model of whatever. But what about from the other side of security, from the sense of taking care of family? And it's not necessarily I want to earn more, make more, have more. It is I want to pay off every single bill that I have and every debt that I have, so that my family's taken care of in case, the economy crashes and I've got to take a job at, a convenience store. If I don't have any debts, then I can make very little money and still make it. And I think that feeling of security and protection is a little different than, I think, money. I'm placing all my security and focus on money because I need to make more.
Right, because what you're talking about is trust in yourself. Mm-hmm. I trust that I can do what I have to do to take care of myself and my family. And beliefs actually make things happen. If you believe you can, it's going to happen. And I've seen this in my own life and in my clients. I usually, when I work with clients, it's usually for just a couple of months, because once they get to see this way of thinking, they can figure things out for themselves, and they understand that there's nothing wrong with them and they're not doing anything wrong. They've never done anything wrong, and they can take action. And to me, I think my greatest success is the fact that I don't worry. And I've been homeless, and I learned how not to worry when I was homeless. And so now it's like I know my income goes up and down, just like every other entrepreneur's income goes up and down. When it's down, I don't worry because I know that it's going to go up again. But most people, when it goes down, their amygdala kicks in and you're danger, 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 and they haven't learned to overcome that natural instinct to worry when there's uncertainty in the future.
So then for that person or someone experiencing some of those negative feelings from what you're saying about the main emotions that people act out through their finances, what is one of the most common things you will tell them to do or start doing to start to overcome that, without getting into every single step and, a full-on session? But what would you say that the first step would be that you're telling them to consider?
Well, first of all, let's say a person is dealing with, what I see from their habits that they're dealing with aloneness. So I'll say to them, was there any kind of abuse or neglect, or was a parent an alcoholic? And I help them kind of get themselves back to when they were a little kid, and I say, what did it feel like? And they realize that they're having the same feelings now that they had when they were a kid. And it's not like I have to always tell them what to do. What I find is the first step in the process of change is awareness. And when I'm working with people on the emotional level, I do this thing called recognize, release, and replace. So we recognize what feelings are there, and you don't have to have a good emotional vocabulary to do this. You just have to notice what the kinesthetic experience in your body is. Then you release it with one of quite a few different techniques that I teach people, and then replace. Okay, in this situation, what would I rather feel, and do I know how to feel that? When someone wants to feel secure, because security is a feeling, do they know how to feel that? Well, they have to teach themselves that feeling if they don't know that feeling. And once you feel secure, once you know how to feel connected, really connected is at the core, once you teach yourself how to feel connected, and I teach them how to do that, then you're going to draw in life stories that support that feeling of connection. As long as you're feeling disconnected and alone, you're going to act out through your life stories things that allow you to keep feeling alone, because that's part of your self-concept.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, because what got you to this place you're in right now will not get you out of this place you're in right now, So I think it makes total sense, but maybe sometimes people can't see the forest for the trees, they're in it and they don't, kind of is the frog in the water concept, and it slowly gets warmed up. You don't notice it till it's too late. So I think that there are those things and those triggers in your life that someone would feel and go, maybe I need to figure something else out because you don't know what you don't know.
Right, and I say that a lot, and I'm just here to help you see things from a different point of view. I've been doing this work for so long. I've been doing it for over 30 years. So I have an instinct about it. I'm very empathetic. I can actually feel other people's feelings. I can tell what they're feeling, and I can describe it to them. And the key is that I'm not afraid of someone else's feelings. So I'm willing to sit there with a person and go through that moment. It's very different from therapy, where you pretty much talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. I believe that once you get to the feeling, then you can let it go, because our feelings, by their nature, need to be expressed. Feelings don't happen in your head. There are these things called neuropeptides that attach to receptors in your cells, and once you express the feeling, then it's gone. It's out of your system. But if you don't express it, then it's going to find a pathway of expression by either making you sick or shopping or overeating or any of those things. So it's this simple skill of learning how to sit with your emotions and express them that's really the key. I'm thrilled that there's so much information online now. I was looking on Amazon the other day, and I was looking at this book, and there are so many books that are teaching people now how to feel their feelings. I've been doing this for over 30 years. Now it's like I'm just another cog in the wheel, and that's fabulous.
Yeah, because a rising tide rises all boats. So, let the industry rise and make more awareness of it, because then that helps everyone realize that maybe there's something that can benefit them. So, wrapping up, give us what's the best way that people can learn more about you or get information on your podcast and just kind of engage more with your brand.
Okay, so prosperityplace.com is my main site, and my podcast, The Prosperity Show, is there. I'm also now publishing courses on udemy.com, UDEMY. The first one I did was Financial Freedom Formula, a holistic blueprint for success, and they're very inexpensive, and every one of my courses does the internal stuff and the external stuff. So, but you can get to most of that, all of that, from my prosperityplace.com.
Super. Well, it was great to get to know you. Thank you for your time. I really enjoyed bringing this new, fresh perspective to business and money.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.